Cinnamonic here, back once again with an episode of The Tea Drinker, and in this video we're looking at Scott & Co.'s hand blended in Yorkshire Artisan loose leaf teas. So I got this off Amazon and I'll be posting links down below relating to the product, sort of where you can get it, and some links to the company as well. So you get, in this particular variety pack, you get 10 of these 30-gram pouches, and that equates to 15 standard cups of tea per packet. And they come in this sort of lovely Hessian style sack, which is quite reusable. You could put like small items or books or something in there, I suppose. Always recycle and reuse. And with that, there's also a little booklet that comes with it. It gives you a little background to the company, a little brewing guide, and it gives you sort of origins and backgrounds to the tea varieties. It's quite interesting as well. So, like I said, there's 10 different pouches. I've grouped them into two groups of 5. Sort of the more tea-like varieties in the first grouping, and in the second grouping it's more sort of flavoured infusions. So let's have a look at what varieties we've actually got. So start with, we've got the gunpowder green tea, so called because they roll them into little pellets, and when the water's added they kind of explode into flavour. That's right, it's quite clever, I think. And then we have the Assam tea, which is one of my favourites. You know, it's got a lovely malty flavour which I'm looking forward to trying. We've got the standard English breakfast. See how that sort of compares to a lot of the English breakfast varieties that I've tried in previous videos. We have the Rooibos tea, which is the non-caffeinated variety that I've always I love the earthy flavour in this tea. I want to see how that compares with other Rooibos I've had. And of course, my particular favourite, Earl Grey. This isn't necessarily the order I'm going to be sort of trying them in. But in the second grouping, we've got sort of more flavour infusioned varieties of tea. So we're going to have a look at mint infusion, which is of course your standard peppermint sort of flavours. Let's see how that turns out. We've got the sweet orange black tea. We've got the cinnamon tea, which I suppose is like a sort of chai variety. So that'll probably have a very strong spicy taste. We've got the lemon tea with ginger, very good digestive tea. And we've got a favourite kind of flavoured tea variety from my point of view, jasmine with flowers. I do like a good jasmine tea. Okay, so that's our two groups. So we're going to start with this group up here. We're going to set up and have our first look at Scott & Co.'s loose leaf tea. So we've added the water and we've had them teas now brewing for about 5 minutes. So let's have the first look at them. First of all, we have the English breakfast, which is a kind of lovely reddish brown colour, nice glow to it. Not as dark as I'd imagined it to be. The Assam is sort of more chocolatey brown, a bit darker in colour, and the Earl Grey similarly in colour to the Assam, slightly more on the reddish side. I'd say slightly lighter in colour, but to be honest, not much difference. The gunpowder green tea is a sort of dusty yellowy orange. A bit disappointed with the gunpowder green tea when I got the packet open. It wasn't rolled up into little balls. It was sort of more loose leaf, which kind of defeats the sort of objective of the gunpowder, but never mind, let's hope it tastes nice. And finally we have the Rooibos, which is a lovely sort of reddish brown colour, sort of more reddish, not quite mahogany. Usually with Rooibos it does come up a bit more mahogany by that, but it's kind of a deeper orangey, reddish, borderline brown colour. Not getting much aroma, to be honest. Getting a slight hint from the Rooibos, but not really getting any sort of scent from the other 4 teas, but maybe it'll be more apparent in the taste test, which is where we're going to go to now. Okay, we're going to kick things off with the English breakfast. There we go. This is a lovely deep, rich, earthy aroma. I think this is a combination of Assam and Ceylon tea. Definitely has the maltiness that comes with the Assam. Lovely smooth taste. No astringency to it. It has a bit of a kick, which is what you want with your breakfast. That's a lovely, smooth, standard cup of tea. Next we have the Assam tea, which, like I said before, usually has quite a malty taste to it. Ah, yes. Lovely malty aroma to the tea, getting that straight back. And in the time that in between setting up my camera and the initial look, it's darkened quite a bit. It's now a deep, rich, kind of almost earthy brown colour. Lovely malty taste, again quite smooth, no astringency. There's almost a sweetness to the malt as well. Getting a little bit of bitterness on the aftertaste now. And that is a good Assam. So now we move on to my favourite, the Earl Grey. Unusual. Usually we have with an Earl Grey, you usually get the sort of citrus notes quite predominantly, like the citrus notes, but there's quite a herbal aroma to this. Let me give it a taste. Not really picking up on the sort of bergamot, which is kind of what you want from an Earl Grey. There is a kind of herbalness to it, but I'm not really getting the citrus notes, which is a little disappointing. But having said that, it is a good cup of tea. Not exactly what I'd sort of state as an Earl Grey. Could do with more bergamot taste in it, but again, quite smooth, quite fulfilling cup of tea. Next we're going to the gunpowder green tea. Now with green tea, in my experience with green tea, they're quite meadowy, quite grassy, quite vegetal. Yep, it has that sort of meadowy cut grass, what I like to call the sort of vegetable broth type aroma to it. It has that meadowy cut grass taste, almost floral with this variety, but it's not as sort of soupy or sort of brothy as some of the green teas I've had. Which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes that sort of soupiness that I get with the green teas, it can be a little overwhelming, but this is very stable. It's aromatic without being overly perfumed. That's a very good green tea. And last in this group we have the Rooibos. Let's give this a sniff. Oh, quite medicinal smell from this. Very sort of herbal. Not getting sort of earthy, sort of tobacco aromas I sometimes get from other Rooibos. This has a sort of almost medicinal taste to it. It's a lot more herbal than a lot of the blends that I'm getting. It's not as earthy. It's rather different. It's kind of more medicinal. It's like root beer, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not something I've come across before with Rooibos tea. Because usually I can get like there's sort of an earthiness and an almost sort of tobacco taste to them sometimes. But this marks it out as being somewhat different. So that was sort of the more tea-like varieties. Out of all of them, little disappointed with the Earl Grey. Maybe it was just the scoop I got out of the packet. Not really hitting the citrus notes that I expect from an Earl Grey. If I was to pick a favourite, I'd say it was the Assam. Nice, malty, smooth. If you're looking for a standard cup of tea, like it every day, I'd go for your English breakfast. Okay, so let's move on to the more flavoured tea varieties. Okay, so now we are taking a look at the second group of 5 teas from Scott & Co. These are the more aromatic, flavoured tea varieties and tisanes, herbal teas, that sort of thing. We'll start first of all with the jasmine with flowers. That's a sort of very pale yellow colour. Can't really say too much. Not getting much of an aroma from the teas. Usually I do get a strong aroma as soon as I've poured the water in, but I'm not really getting too much. So the next one is the sweet orange black tea. That's a wonderfully deep, rich, brownish, orangey, almost purpley colour. Lovely deep, rich colour there. Then we have the cinnamon tea, which is also a lovely, deep, rich brown colour. I'd have expected at least some aroma from that, but at the moment I can't really smell anything. But it'll probably become more apparent in the taste test. Then we have the lemon tea with ginger, which unusually for a sort of lemon tea is quite dark. It's a sort of not quite brown, a very sort of deep orange colour. coming through from that sort of borderline between orange and brown, and slightly reddish as well. Again, not much of an aroma. And finally we have the mint infusion, which, like a lot of mint infusions I've had in the past, is quite dark in colour. This particular mint infusion is purely peppermint leaves. It has no actual tea in it, so that may affect the flavour. There's a lot of the mint varieties I've had in the past are actually tea blended with mint, but this is just purely peppermint. So that's the look at the more flavoured teas. So let us go on to the taste test. Okay, we'll kick things off with the jasmine with flowers. It's still quite a pale golden colour. Absolutely beautiful floral aroma though. Lovely balanced taste. Not overly floral, not overly perfumed. This is, if you're looking for a jasmine tea, this is a very good example of it. It's a little astringent on the aftertaste though, I will say that. But generally on aroma and taste, very good. Now we have the sweet orange black tea. It doesn't really have the sort of citrus aroma I'd expect from something that's boasting sweet orange. No. Again, like the Earl Grey before, not really getting the sort of citrus notes. It's not really coming through. The black tea, on the other hand, is very, very flavourful. But like I said, like the Earl Grey before it, it's kind of weak on the more citrus notes. Next, we have the cinnamon tea. I'm hoping good things from that. Oh, wonderful spicy aroma. Sort of very autumnal, sort of wintry, Christmassy type aromas coming off this. It has a wonderful sweetness to it. The cinnamon is present, but it's not dominating. It doesn't sort of over-dominate the palate. Like I said, it has a sweetness to it. It's not. It's quite smooth. It's not. Slightly bitter again on the aftertaste. But if you're looking for something to drink sort of wintry, dark evenings, this is a good tea for that sort of thing. Next we have lemon tea with ginger, which is more of a sort of digestive tea, because lemon, ginger, very good for digestion. There is a slight lemony aroma to it, and again, not really punching up the citrus notes. There is a sort of a warning. You can get very underflavoured citrus related teas, but sometimes the citrus can be a bit too overwhelming and it tastes a bit soapy, so you need to get a balance with that. Again, a little disappointing, not really getting a citrus kick from this, and the ginger flavour doesn't seem very present or Usually with gingers I should be getting that little tickle in the back of my throat from the ginger taste, but I'm not really getting much of that, which is again quite disappointing. Okay, so the last one we have is the mint infusion, and I have a caveat of with mint infusions. Sometimes they can taste a bit oily. The sort of more commercial varieties of mint flavours do tend to have a kind of an oily residue about them, which kind of impedes on the taste. But as this is purely peppermint leaves, I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue. So let's have a sniff first of all. It has a lovely sort of peppermint aroma. It's more sort of herbal than sort of minty. Usually when you get a mint variety, it's like you get blasted in the face with sort of menthol aroma. But this one's more sort of subtle. You give it a taste. Yes, it has a subtler taste too. It's not just mint sort of tearing your mouth apart. It has a subtle taste to it. Usually the more commercial varieties do sort of broadcast the flavour a little too loudly. This is like I said, with the aroma, it's more subtle, it's more herbal, it's more sort of organic. Goes back to sort of more mint infusions, pure mint infusions, not those mixed with tea. Not too bad. Okay, so that was the more flavoured varieties. Again, with the sort of citrus mixed ones, bit disappointing, could be more citrusy, more fruity. On the whole, very good. I'm liking the cinnamon tea, that was very good. And but to say, I'd have to say that my favourite from these in particular was the jasmine with flowers. And on the whole, Scott & Co.'s Artisan loose leaf teas, I think my favourite on the whole has to be the Assam. I will post some links below so you can try these out for yourself. Hope you enjoyed my review. I've been Sid Mnemonic, you've been watching The Tea Drinker. Thank you very much, and I will see you again in the next video.